All right, so Hamish, welcome to the Al Black Show. Great to have you on board.
Absolute pleasure, Al. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Now, let's deal with the toughest part of the interview straight away. How do you pronounce that surname of yours?
It's Goonetilleke.
Goonetilleke. And is it Dutch or?
No, a lot of people say it's. They think it's Dutch because, of course, I'm white, but my father's Sri Lankan.
Okay.
Has Sri Lankan heritage. So my grandfather was from Sri Lanka, and then migrated to to Malaysia, where he met my grandmother and raised the family, and then migrated from Malaysia to Singapore and Singapore to Australia.
Quite the international flavour.
It is.
Nice one. Well, now I learned something new the other day. Apparently that if you dip your head in rum for an hour a week, apparently that's going to prevent hair loss. Have you heard that one?
Well, if it's true, I definitely haven't been doing it enough because I'm dipping my head in a lot of rum.
I think that horse is bolted for the two of us, mate.
Exactly. We got the same hairdresser. I love it.
Doesn't take much. Doesn't take long every week. Now, so you've made a name for yourself in the Australian hospital scene as both a bar owner and a spirit maker. But before we get into all of that, I'm just keen to find out, how a kid from Ivanhoe Grammar ended up doing what it is you do. So after uni, you ended up heading straight into the wonderful world of advertising, I believe. Now, is there any connection between those few years you spent in the ad game and your decision to opening a bar?
No, in the advertising game, that was because I studied business at university, and I got an opportunity through the Advertising Federation of Australia. It was a graduate internship, and so I got a job with Magnum Opus as a graduate, and so I did that for a year and a half there, and after there, then I went to Wonderman, which is a below-the-line advertising agency, part of WPP, which was George Pat's.
Yes. And
it was from there, then my first business partner, who I actually went to university with, Ronnie, came to me and he goes, "Hamish, do you want to start a non-traditional media agency?"
I said, "You're like, what's that?"
Yeah. So I guess it was my intro into business, into advertising, into working for myself, and then from working for myself, then I guess came back into hospitality.
Okay, so what was the driving force behind you opening your first bar, Marmalade, and how did that all come about?
Good question. So we'd been doing the media shop for a couple of years, maybe a year and a half, and this was just before the global financial crisis, and we had done a really, really good year. We made a bucket load of money, just two fellas running around selling advertising. And I said to Ronnie, I was like, this media game, it's not really for me. I'd love to get back into hospitality. I said, we've got this money, why don't we buy a share of a bar? And he goes, well, I can run the media side of things, you can run the bar, and that was kind of it. So I started looking around for bars, found this location, called up my a guy who's very well known in the hospo industry over in Chapel Street. Called him up and asked for some advice. I said, "What do you think about this space?" And then he ended up being our first business partner in that venue, and yeah, that's how we got into Marmalade.
Yeah, right. And that would have been what, 2010, maybe?
29.
Right? Yeah.
2009. So this year, actually, it would have been August. I opened that business. So I've literally just passed my 10 years of self-employment in hospitality.
There you go. A little milestone for you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now how did Marmalade set itself apart from other small bars in the area? Was there, was it the culture? Was it the music that it played, or the decor? What was different about it?
Marmalade. Okay, so the first, so I remember doing an analysis of the area. It was in Paran, in Commercial Road, opposite Paran Market. And Paran's quite an artistic area, especially around there. Off Izzet Street, you've got those, God, I can't even think what the gallery's name is now. But like it's quite a creative space over there. So I wanted to have this place where, of course, you had cocktails made in jam jars and shaken up in the jam jars and served like that. And then
So the jam jar craze is all your fault, is it?
yeah, that was it, mate.
Blame you.
I feel like that's but that ship sailed as well. You know, that's a
Yeah.
bit that's circa '09. You know, we've moved on from there. But yeah, and then it was all about having a rotating gallery space. Oh, that's right. The gallery was called Artist.
Yep.
Up in Is it Street, and so it was finding young artists to exhibit their artwork and do regular exhibitions and create an artistic / bar / hangout, I guess. But it was all based on arts and
there's quite a bit of street art there, was there, as well?
yeah, there was.
Yep.
On the front wall when you walked in, I remember, because through the advertising, we had dealt with a guy called Adrian Doyle, who is the curator of the Blender Art Gallery in Franklin Street.
Okay.
So it was kind of incubator for street artists. I said to him, I want to do this venue, and if you need some street artists who can come and help decorate the front wall. And yeah, so some pretty cool street artists came and did that, and we paid him in slabs of beer, and yeah, it was sick.
Yeah, cool. And now, was that a straight transition from Marmalade to Carte Diem Bar? And if so, why make that change? Because it's the same location, isn't it? Or not?
Well, so after my business partners ended up buying me out of that business.
Yep.
And they changed it to Carpe Diem after I left.
Seize the day.
Seize the day, boys.
Exactly. So that's just an entity that you're not involved with anymore. Is that right?
Yeah, no. It was they changed that, and I think then they sold it on to someone else, and I think it's back on the market again now.
Yeah, right. So anyone out there looking for a bar, check that one out.
Exactly. Over in Paran, go for it.
Yeah. So Marmalade was what, 2009 to 2012-ish?
I reckon. Yes,
Yeah.
It would have been. Yep.
Okay. So, and after Marmalade came, I guess, what you call your flagship venue, insofar as it's been the venue that you've been the longest associated with. I am, of course, talking about the Rum Diary bar. Can you tell us the story about this one?
Well, it was funny. The transition between Marmalade and Rum Diary wasn't that easy, to be fair.
Okay.
Because I'd been overseas. I'd chased a girl overseas to Canada. I was there
How'd that work out?
Well, I'm not in Canada.
Next question.
So I was there for 9 months. At the end of that stint, I said, it's always been a dream of mine to go to Cuba. So I flew to Cuba and spent a week in Cuba, just, a 7-day all-inclusive sort of thing.
How was that?
Oh man, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And
right.
that was the inspiration behind Rum Diary. Okay. So, but there's a funny little story in between. So I went to Cuba, had a great time, came back to Australia, said to my then business partners, I want to get back involved in Marmalade. I think it's run like dog balls. They said, oh, look, we're happy the way it's running. So I started trying to find people to buy them out. And then out of the blue, then they said, okay, we're going to buy you out. So I was like, great, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, I take a step back. Before I was actually bought out, I was like, well, these guys don't want to work in the business. So I was kind of in limbo.
Yeah.
So then I was trying to find jobs, and I was back working with my uncle doing, mowing lawns. Yeah. For 7-Elevens. So I was mowing lawns at 7-Elevens and whippersnippering and doing all that sort of stuff, and kind of having a bit of a rough time. Really, it wasn't a great period. And then literally out of the blue, the guy said, "Do you want to, we want to buy you out?" I was like, "Fantastic! This is awesome! I'll take the money and run." So I took the money and ran, and started looking for a new space. And I remember it was a Saturday morning, and I woke up and I walked down to the shops, and I hadn't bought the physical newspaper for ages. And I remember going to the Milk Bar and buying The Age I sat down at this little local cafe, and I'm flicking through the Age newspaper and having a coffee or whatever, and I get to the business section, and there's this tiny little ad that says Bar Brunswick Street, call. So I called the number, and he goes, oh, you know, this place in the market, they really need to move it. So I go, well, I know Fitzroy really well. I've been in that area for, you know, a long time. So, oh, can you tell me what it is? Oh, I can't tell you. So, come on. Blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh, okay, it's the old Gypsy Bar. I said, are you kidding me? The old Gypsy Bar. So, mate, what are you doing tomorrow? Let's do it. I'll come and see it.
Yeah.
So came in, and the place was boarded up at the front. The ceiling had fallen in because it had been closed for 9 months. They'd let the overflow from the condenser upstairs in the cool room overflow, came through the ceiling, the water, bang, the whole ceiling had fallen down the back.
And you're like, it's fantastic, I'll take it.
Well, I saw the opportunity. You know, there was, at the end of the day, you know, you can put plaster back up on a wall.
Yeah.
And you can, you know, but the location in hospitality is gold. You need to have good footfall and a good spot. And for some reason, that place where Gypsy Bar was and Rum Diary was or is, it's just always had a really good feel about it. It's got good energy. It's got a great, you know, and people remember that place. Gypsy Bar was big for 20 years.
Yeah, right.
You know, that was, you know, that's
it's a big thing. Yeah.
Big thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I think it was around this time. It was about 18 months, I think, into your Rum Diary bar journey before you opened the gin bar, G&T. So like TB spelled TEA. Was it a case of discovering a great location and wanting to take advantage of it, or was it more to do with just wanting to capitalize on the growing alcoholic tea market?
No, it wasn't as much tea. It was definitely the gin market.
Yeah.
And I knew that corner. And again, for some reason, there's certain spots that I just had my eye on for ages.
Yeah.
You know, and I just have, like, when we get to Driver Lane, I had my eye on that spot for years. And that corner where G&T was, I always thought it was a great corner. It got lovely sun all the way down Kerr Street, from Nicholson right down. It was a lovely long afternoon, sunny corner. You had the Fitz on one corner, which was busy. The Evelyn on the other corner was busy. It just created a really nice hub there. And I knew the girl who was currently operating the business, and she was a regular at Rum Diary. She used to come in all the time. So I said, look, I'd like to take it over, and I think I've got a concept which will work. Do you want to come and be my partner?
Right.
So I said, look, I'd like to, let's do this together. So, got in there, and it was super busy. We opened in January. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold.
Yeah, that's all right.
We got in there in January, and that year it just started pissing down because it was 3/4 outdoors. A huge outdoor area, and I think it was only about 40 seats inside, and 85 outside. It was huge.
Wow.
And just started pissing down with the rain that year, and we just didn't have the momentum. We didn't have enough momentum, and killed off the trade. And then the then business partner, she left. She just nicked off, left me with it. I was like, great, the landlord, he knows I own Rum Diary just here.
Yeah, right.
So, I can't just piss off because he's been knocking on my door 5 doors down and go, where's my rent?
Yeah.
So I had to think about something else which would work. And then I was out and I met some guys, some Jamaicans.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. And this guy, he was running a place in Yarraville. And he was doing like jerk chicken and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, man, jerk chicken's awesome. There's nowhere really Jamaican in Fitzroy. And I've got the rum, all the rum bar and everything. So I was like, let's do a Jamaican jerk chicken pop-up for winter and call it Bob's Hot Box.
Okay, yeah. Go.
Because, it was a bit of a play on words, a hot box of food, but a hot box in a
Yeah,
a hot
yeah,
box.
yeah.
So we contracted these guys for winter. It was great. We had all this jerk chicken and had the rum cocktails. All my staff from Rum Diary came down. It was really good, but that was just a winter thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then turned it back into G&T, and then we had a buyer and managed to offload that baby on.
Yeah, right.
I think I got the check. I think I got the bank check on New Year's Eve.
Party time.
And I remember just driving as fast as I could to the bank and just depositing it and going, that is,
Exactly.
that was the end of that segment of my life. And
Yeah.
let's live and learn from
that
things I
one.
did.
Okay, cool. So,
Not always smooth sailing, Al. That's it.
what's that? Sorry.
It's not always smooth sailing.
No, exactly, and it's the difficult stories that can make the better ones even better. Like you got to have a bit of adversity in there somewhere. And look, from what I could gather, it was around the time that you were launching G&T that you were also launching the actual rum, the Rum Diary spiced rum, which meant they had 2 venues on the go plus a beverage business. Do you really hate sleep that much, or
I'm an opportunist.
Yeah.
And the opportunity was there, and I leveraged my staff that I had, and we had a good crew of people working together. And so, I thought, why not?
Yeah, cool. And what is it about rum specifically, as a spirit that made you want to start your own label? Why not vodka or gin? And
it's a very good question.
You fancy yourself as a pirate?
Yeah, of course. A modern day pirate. Well, actually, as you can see here.
Oh yeah.
It's a very small picture. There's a funny story behind that from the Rum Diary bar. An artist came to me. He goes, "Do you want a self-portrait done?" I said, "I haven't really thought about having a self-portrait ever." And he goes, "I use it as a way of getting my own commissions for private clients."
Yeah.
And he did this thing, and then I sent it to my framer. My framer goes, "Oh, Hamish, I think I need to get the van." I was like, "What do you mean you need to get a van? This thing's, a small picture or whatever." He goes, "Oh, no, it's a bit bigger than that. This thing bloody arrives. It's almost life size."
Yeah, right.
And so when I sold Rum Diary, I was like, well, I can't leave the bloody thing there. So now it looks at me in my office. So I can't piss around in the office anymore. This is at home.
Yeah.
He looks over me and makes sure that I'm not farting around.
Yeah, you're getting watched over by your own self.
Exactly, by the pirate version of myself.
Exactly.
So why rum? Well, specifically spiced rum, because we started making the spiced rum because we didn't believe that traditional spiced rums in the market were that good, and there was an opportunity for us to do a better product. To make a cocktail mixing ingredient, to make a high quality refined product, which really had a flavor profile which would stand out. Spiced rum in particular definitely has one of the lowest competitive landscapes in the market. There are, there's probably about, let's say 20 major competitors.
Yeah.
And that's being generous.
Yeah, right.
Really, there's only a handful of main players. So from a business perspective and entering the market, you're like, well, if we can make a dent in a small competitive landscape, we can build momentum, and we can create something. We can get a product up and running.
Yeah, sure.
So it is an interesting question though, because there are 6 million gins coming up every single year.
Yeah.
My feeling is a lot of those will, in fact, there will be a lot that will fold.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so it's a very competitive game.
So can you give us an idea of the journey from the moment of, I think I'd like my own rum label, to the rum being ready for consumption? What does that journey look like?
That journey, well, I was very lucky because I've got the bar.
Yeah,
so
of course.
It started with homemade products. So we were like...
Well, you make your own luck in this case, I think.
Pardon?
You make your own luck in this case.
Yeah, true. So I was like, well, we don't like traditional rums. Let's start making our own spiced rum. So we started making the rum in 10 litre water containers, emptying out bottles of rum in there, weighing out spices, putting it in, shaking it around, and leaving it in the top room at Rum Diary for a week.
Yep.
Straining it through a chinois and a chucks.
Yeah.
That was our very technical filtration system.
Mm-hmm.
And then selling it across the bar as our normal house pour. So through that process, we were able to test the market and see how maceration works, see how the flavors changed. So I guess that was firstly how we came from just a homemade product and seeing there was an opportunity. Customers started asking, "Can I take a bottle home?" So yeah, sweet, why not? So we make an extra few bottles. Then we put it on the website. People started buying it from the website. So okay, well maybe there's a market in this, and so then I bought a 220 litre barrel and made. It was actually at 40%. And in hindsight, it's crazy buying a barrel of rum at 40%.
Yeah, right.
So I shipped it halfway around the world for water because the rum comes at 70. It's over 70%, and then you break it down. So if you ship it at 40%, you're basically shipping water.
Yeah, right.
I didn't realize that at the time.
So there would have been a light bulb. There would have been an amusing light bulb moment at some point there. Where you're like, won't be doing that again.
And these guys overseas must have been laughing their tits off, going, "What is this guy? What's this white boy doing?"
They're probably still telling the story to people that they meet these days,
Exactly.
Now, something else that sort of blew me away, like something else that's over 70%, which did spin me out, was that's the government excise cost, and that's the biggest cost to the rum business. I didn't realize it was so high.
Well, to any spirit.
Yeah.
So the government excise goes up every 6 months. I can't think of what percentage it goes up by, but I know it was about $84.36 in February, and then in August 1st it went up again, and it became $85.69 per litre of pure alcohol. So, for example, in a 700 ml bottle at 40%, there's about $24.50 of tax plus GST at the end of the packaging product.
Fair whack.
That's massive.
Yeah. So one of the ways that you've been promoting the rum around the country is with cocktail competitions, and I remember being at what I think was the first one that you did in Perth, which, if I remember correctly, was won by Strange Company's Elise Godwin. How have these comps been working out for you and the brand?
Look, I mean, it's funny. We don't have a huge marketing budget. We don't have a lot of money. So cocktail competitions are a way that we can engage. Okay, let me take a step back. The way that there's two different ways of going to market with a spirit company. One is you pump your above the line marketing. So you are influencing the great majority, and then you've done your deal in like Dan Murphy's. The great majority come to Dan Murphy's, go, "Oh, I've seen that on a billboard or wherever." Go, they purchase the product and take it home. The way we do it, we influence the bartenders. So when you're going into a bar, a high quality bar where your perception is already heightened because you're at a good venue, you ask for a certain product and they go, "Have you tried this thing?" Like, "No, I haven't." "Great, I'll try this." You have a good experience, and then so you're being influenced by the bartender. You're being influenced at the point of purchase, and then you reach out to an independent bottle shop or one of the high quality bottle shops. Of course, we're there, and then you're pitching your product there, or Dan Murphy's online, or whatever. But it's about the bartenders talking across the bar and influencing consumers, and I mean we found that bartender approach quite good.
Yeah, cool. So fast forward to end of 2017, and you're obviously having bar opening withdrawal symptoms because around the back of the iconic GPO building in Melbourne CBD, you were launching venue number, I'm losing track now, venue number 4 maybe, known as Beneath Driver Lane. What's the story behind that joint?
Oh man, so Beneath Driver Lane, back in the day, And it was funny. I actually caught up with a friend of mine who's just come back to Melbourne after living in Paris for 7 years, and we were having a drink on Friday night, and she came to the bar. She's like, "This is the old Moo." I was like, "Yeah, it is." She goes, "I brought you here about 7 years ago." I was like, "You bloody well did." So my friend, she was the one who actually took me to the space the first time, and I was blown away by it. And back then, they had like a marble bathtub in the corner and all these crazy antiques, because the son-in-law of the owner was an antique dealer. And ever since then, I kind of fell in love with the space.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's subterranean space. So literally just a doorway from the street face. You go underground, and it's just it's one of the original buildings of the CBD.
Mm-hmm.
So when any city was built, they would build the GPO, the General Post Office, because that's where you paid your bills, you paid your taxes, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then directly behind the GPO was a government building. So the state government had a building there. Sir Robert Menzies had an office in the building above where Driver Lane is now.
Mm-hmm.
And they needed a secure holding cell for the money. So once it'd been at the GPO, they'd move the money, and most likely back then it would have been via underground tunnel
Okay.
into a secure holding cell where it would wait and be counted until the money was then transferred to the Commonwealth Bank.
All right.
And
Okay.
that space was called the Money Order Office.
Right.
So the Money Order Office, which was then the restaurant, which my friend took me to,
Mm-hmm.
is now beneath Driver Lane.
Another fantastic story right there.
Oh, it's a bit of history. It's history. And, you know, when we got in there, and I was like, everything was covered white. The whole thing was plastered and painted white. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. I guarantee, because this is the foundations of a building. So I'm guaranteeing the brick behind that plaster, that's all original bricks.
Yeah.
Because it's support structures.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, we're taking all that back. Let's bring it all back to raw brick. So, of course, then you got the tenuous task of navigating electricity wires and things which have been put back there and everything else. So we knocked everything back, acid washed the brickwork, and brought it back to its former glory, which was the original beautiful clinker bricks.
Trends in hospitality are always on the move, as you know, so none more so than the huge and varied beverage market. So what would you believe the biggest changes the last few years to have been, and what do you think we've got in store over the horizon?
Well, funnily enough, one of the biggest trends is low and non-alcoholic cocktails and non-alcoholic spirits. One of the biggest growth markets in liquor right now is non-alcoholic. It's crazy, as well as gin. Gin and whiskey is in huge growth.
Mm-hmm.
But consumers, I mean, the statistics are there. Consumers are becoming a lot more health conscious.
Now stop right there. Do you think that is a generational thing? Because I've heard a lot of people say, "Gee, the kids of today don't party anywhere near as hard as we did," or is it the older people that are drinking, or is it everyone that's drinking low alcohol?
I think it's probably driven by the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're doing, they're drinking. So there's the non-alcoholic, which is its own thing, but people are drinking less quantity, higher quality.
Right.
You know? So it's about extracting the certain dollars out of your clientele, but in the right way. So we don't do cheap cocktails or run discounts, because people are willing to pay for a more complex, more time-consuming, beautiful product, right? Because they're going to have less of them.
Sure.
So we make sure we build our margin into giving that product.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So that is the trend now. I believe you're in the process now of combining all your operations under the Liquid Living brand, with plans to add even more venues. So from what I've heard, the first venue to come under this umbrella is Bistro Garçon in Melbourne CBD. Why Bistro Garçon, and what are your plans for this venue?
How that one's come about is really interesting. It's my my current business partner in Driver Lane had this other venue and was having some issues, having a few problems down there, and asked me to come along and have a look at it and see what I could do. And I think it's got a huge potential. It's a great end of town. It's opposite 101 Collins, so the Paris end of Collins Street, institution for, you know, long lunches and quite a joie de vivre attitude up there, I guess.
Yeah.
All the beautiful designer clothes and all this sort of thing.
Yeah. I was actually that was actually what I was going to call the podcast show, joie de vivre. Like, you know, when I was like, that works pretty well. But then I realized that a lot of people are going to look at it and go, I don't speak French. Why would I listen to a French, you know, like they wouldn't know what it was. So I was like, stuff it. I'll call it the Al Black Show. Sorry, carry on.
That's all right. So yeah, I basically had a look at it. I think it's got some really good potential. The concept is 1980s Paris. So, you know, when you know, in France. So, you know, it's a little bit flamboyant, a little bit over the top, but you know, quite quirky. It's a bit fashionable, but at its heart, it's a French bistro. Great steak frites, steak tartare, good oysters. The business at the moment has one kind of homogenous feel. You've got a dining area downstairs, you've got a dining area upstairs. And I said to the guys, like, to make this work, you need to build a drinking culture as well as a dining culture. So, you know, we're building the downstairs part is more of like an aperitif space, where we'll have lots of the French fortified wines, and those lighter, lower alcohol aperitifs.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have a drink, you'll catch up with some friends. There's an actual bar seating. There's a nice high bar in the window.
Yeah.
And then, would you like to join me? Let's go. Let's have some dinner. You
Yep.
walk up the 5 stairs. There's a little bit of gravitas.
Mm-hmm.
You arrive at a lovely dining space which has a nice privacy to it. You can sit down and enjoy a meal.
Yeah,
So
nice.
you really want to separate those two feels. Give the privacy upstairs for the bistro and a bit more of a drinking sort of gathering culture, small bites downstairs in the bar area.
Okay. So as far as Liquid Living is concerned, are there any other plans for the brand that you can talk about?
Yeah, I can.
Yep.
We've at the moment we've got a very exciting new project. Again, a venue I've had my eye on for about 4 years.
Right.
I can't say exactly where it is, but the liquor license transfer is going through, and it'll be hopefully in about 3.5 weeks. It'll be transferred, and then we have to get onto quite a big renovation. But this concept is
it in the CBD as well?
Yep, CBD as well.
Yep.
And I guess I love concepts. You know, I love creating something which has a real emotional and physical pull. Like a venue is not just 4 walls and stuff around. You know, it's got to communicate something to you. You got to feel it when you walk in there, and it's going to hit you in the chest.
It's got to have a personality.
Correct. You know, and I guess some bar operators kind of have a more consistent feel of their venues, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I'll explain this once you minute. This is totally different altogether.
Yeah.
So the concept is 1970s New York City disco funk.
Oh yeah, you're talking about language there.
Mr. Al Black, you will have a personal invitation to this party. I think I'll even print it on a golden ticket just for you, baby.
I'll be on that first flight out.
Yeah. So reason why I think this is a thing is, apart from like Driver Lane's got a serious bar, it's got 480 whiskeys. It's an underground, subterranean, timbers and vaulted ceilings, and it's a serious bar. You're in there, you're like, fuck, this is a bar.
This is a real deal, yeah.
I think the opportunity, especially with location, is for a fun venue. So I want to bring back the fun. We've got tiny bar areas, so we're actually going to do pre-batch cocktails. Okay. Well, our cocktails will be on tap. We'll pull them through on the tap. Means we don't need too many staff.
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that's the concept there. But it's going to be shagadelic. We're going to have the all the velvets and disco balls, and it's going to be quite a separation from the world below.
Dancing? Is it going to have a dance floor and DJs? Are you going to take it that far, or
we'll have record. We're going to have record DJs only.
Vinyl only? Yep.
It's going to be that vinyl. It's going to be that kind of place where it'll be targeted 25 to 45 or 28 to 50, I guess. The crew who used to go clubbing, who don't really want to be hanging out with 21-year-olds and 18-year-olds anymore.
Yeah.
But want a bit of there's a bit of a thing happening.
Yeah.
So a little could happen, but it's not like we're not a club.
No.
We're a disco funk lounge, which is just super cool. And but on the weekend, if you want to have a bit of a boogie, you can. And through the week, it'll be more soul funk.
Yeah, right. Man, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to check it out.
Spot.
Hey?
Good Tinder date spot.
Oh, yeah, sounds like it. Now, just say everything goes well with liquor licensing and the building goes according to plan, when do you think you'd be opening those doors?
Mid-November at best.
Okay.
So it'll be a six-week build. At best.
Okay, cool.
Pretty significant build we're doing there. The venue's been really beaten.
Yeah.
So, but I like a good challenge. It'll be the biggest reno that I've ever done personally. So I'm really, really looking forward to getting into it. First time I ever dealt with a designer actually was Driver Lane. I've done all my own designs previously, and now I've built a relationship with this designer Carlos, and we just get each other. It's so good. Designers can kind of get off on their own tangent unless you give them direction.
Sure.
Because I've got quite a strong identity of what I want there, we're really, we're sending texts to each other all the time. He sees something, he's like, bang, like sending text messages, and I'm seeing texts of pictures, and it's just brilliant, I love working with people who we're just in the zone.
Just get each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this the continuing plan for Liquid Living? Is it just open more and more and more venues, or are you going to be sitting pretty where you are after this next one, or do you do consulting as well, or is it just venues? What's the Liquid Living plan?
I do consulting, but the plan is we want to open another one, and we've got the space for it as well.
CBD again.
CBD again.
Love that.
We're just in negotiations still at the moment. So I can't reveal too much, but the concept of that one is an Italian aperitivo bar. So you've been to Rome, and you go to those bars, and there's all the little snacks on the bar top. So white marble bar top, all the snacks, and you buy your Negroni or your Aperol Spritz, and then you've got little tongs, a few chips, and some pickled vegetables, and you just have your little plate.
Sure.
The bartender's got the polishing cloth over the shoulder, and there's some meats there, and so that proper Italian aperitivo bar is the concept there.
Okay. Cool. Now
once that's done, then I think that'll be enough for a little bit, and we'll see where it gets to.
Yeah, cool. All right, I think we're pretty much done here. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we hear about your favorite party story of all time?
No, look, that's it. I think, I guess anyone who's looking at getting into hospitality, it's certainly a journey, and you've got to be willing to sacrifice quite a lot. And it's a lot of time and energy, I guess, being self-employed, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
And work out.
I had Rob from The Social on the podcast recently, and he was talking about subconsciously. He was talking about what it's like to work in the kitchen and all the rest of it, and he just painted it to be like the worst job in the world. But I was like, is this a speech you give the younger people? But he was just, but he also said it could be the best job in the world, and he talked about all the positive things as well. But I guess it can be a bit full on in a cooking hot kitchen in the middle of summer.
Well, that's I'm not a good chef.
Nah.
Funnily enough, I'm not a good bartender.
Okay, right.
I'm a terrible bartender, right?
Whenever the
But,
staff see you get behind the bar, they're like, "Oh no, here he comes."
no, pretty much.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
usually, if Hamish is behind the bar, the only thing they say to me is, "Hamish, get out of the bar."
yeah, yeah. Right. Gold. Okay,
Mm.
well, yeah, we're one of my favorite parts of the show. Looking for your favorite party story of all time that you're okay to talk about on the show.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
This was a particularly funny night, and it was a couple of years ago, and it was one of the birthday parties for the bar for Rum Diary.
Yep.
And I remember we were, those parties are institution, pretty messy. There's plenty of rum running around.
Yep.
And anyway, we're sitting there at one of our institution lock-ins, right? And we're having some rum and everything else. All of a sudden, we kind of, the sun's almost coming up, and my chef at the time, Xavier, he goes, let's all go skinny dipping down in Port Melbourne Beach.
Go.
And somehow we all decided this was a bloody good idea. So then we all go, get into cabs, drive all the way over to Port Melbourne Beach, strip off, run to the end of the pier and jump into the water.
Whoops. So maybe you should make that an annual thing then for those parties.
Maybe we should. It could be the end of the staff party, Everyone goes skinny dipping.
So what month of the year was that? Surely it wasn't midwinter.
No, it was. It would have been January.
Oh, right. So a good month to do it.
I think that's why it was balmy as hell. We were like, what a great idea. Let's go
do it.
jump off here.
Gold. Well, looking forward to seeing the pictures of the next one. Yeah.
No pictures. That's the only thing, right? No photographic evidence of anything.
What happens at those parties stays at those parties.
Correct, Al.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for taking the time out to join me on the show. It's been great.
No worries at all. Look forward to seeing you at the opening of the disco.
I'll be out there looking for my flares and platform shoes straight away. That's my plan.
That's it, baby.
All right.
No worries.
Cheers, bud. See ya.
Thanks, man. See you guys. Bye.